the best markets for swing trading on the long side and the short side are, when the markets are strong. Like I keep telling this all the time. Like when the 10 days rising, the 20 days rising, and the 10 days above the 20 day, that's when you get really, really good swing trading markets. And right now, since March lows, it's been the best trading market since the late 90s. We had a really good trading market from like October last year to mid-February this year. And before that, it was a great trading market like the first 4 months of 2019. Before that, like there's been like 2013 was a really good year, 2017 was a really, really good year. And then, there are challenging years or challenging periods where you really can't trade a lot. You have to be very selective. Like there are trades, obviously. But usually you don't get a lot of these stocks that double, triple. You just don't get them. You gotta be faster with profits. For example, like October, November, December 2018 was such a period. Like you didn't really get a lot of setups of the type I look for. So you just don't trade a lot. And then, here too, during the Corona sell-off, there were no setups. There were no setups of the type I look for. And I'm getting a little bit worried, like, we're just going straight up and, either we go parabolic, which would be totally epic if it happened. Like if we went, straight up to like 320 or something, like low mid 300s in the Nasdaq 100, that would be absolutely insane. And also the short opportunities that would arise. Oh my God. When was the breakout on Netflix? Hint, it was not today. Yeah, it's low ADR, but the setup is still valid. Like the setup was yesterday. That's when it broke out. Like just look at this thing. It's been riding the 50-day, built a really tight range. It started surfing the 50-day, put in a tight range, really tight range day, and then it got a breakout. Like yesterday was the breakout. Like today, if you're buying it here, you're probably not gonna make it in trading. And yes, it's low ADR, but the setup, like the concept is the same. Why I use VWAP for shorts? Because I found that VWAP works really, really well on momentum stocks. Because VWAP works really well. I don't know why, it just does. Why are the moving averages? Why does the 10, 20, and 50-day moving average work so well for momentum stocks? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's magic. I don't really care. They just do. They worked really well 100 years ago, and they still work really well. Like, it's just how the market behaves. There's very few indicators that work. Most indicators are just total bullshit, but some, they really... plug? Could be. Yeah, in a few days. Yeah, absolutely. Plug it's surfing the 10-day. Yeah, maybe next week. Yeah. What I think of Z, I think it was a great buy here on this day when I bought it. And now it's just, going higher. That's what I think of Z. There is no setup here. There's no setup here now. OTR key, yeah, a few more days. It's gonna look great. This is why you follow your sell rules. The first close below the 10-day. That's where I sold it. And now look at it. It's down another 55%. That's why you need specific rules. You can't trade blind. You need rules. If you want to make millions, you need rules. And I got a few comments about this thing. Like on this day here, the day before it broke out, someone commented on YouTube, and I think also someone wrote to me in the chat, like, what do you see? Why do you see it as a long? Like they couldn't get it. Like, why is this a long? But it's very easy. It's a momentum leader. Made a big move. Like this thing went up 1,000% in a few months, and then it pulled back, gap down on earnings. But you look at where it found support on one of the major moving averages, the 50-day. Found support on the 50-day. Started building higher lows, had a range here, right? And then it broke out, and that's where I bought it. I was talking about this thing for several days, and then now look at it, straight up, pretty much. Ideal consolidation around 3 weeks. It depends. Usually a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Those are the sweet spots. Like JD, for example. Well, it depends. Like it depends. JD was a couple of month consolidation, while something like AMD, that was only a couple of week consolidation. Shopify was also a couple of month consolidation. W was like a month consolidation. Beely was also a couple of months. Yeah, I would say generally couple of months, a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Thoughts on CLDX? Nah, it's just a no, ignore this one. There's nothing here. DAL, well, my thoughts was it wasn't a great setup. Why didn't you buy it opening like on this day here? Big C, if there was a setup, I don't know. It was kind of a tough. It was a very quick IPO base and then went straight up. Look, guys, Tesla is gonna have an enormous pullback. Okay, eventually. You gotta wait for it. There's no reason to pick tops. There's no reason. Like, there's huge downside in this thing once it finally cracks. But it could go to 2,500, 3,000 before it pulls back. We don't know. I'm just moving my stop higher since I'm long, and when I see this thing starting to act bad, well, that's when I'll sell my long and maybe start considering going short. But I have no desire trying to pick a top on this thing. Just let it run its course. It's not a true parabolic, and it's so above all the moving averages. So I just don't see an entry signal. Yeah, Beyond Meat looks pretty decent. I don't know why it's up. Is it news or? It looks like yeah, it's taking out a nice range. So those of you who were early on it, congrats. I think it's news. It started moving pre-market on volume. Opening range highs was the entry. Yeah, exactly. Analysts are just price followers, right? The market drops, they revise their price targets lower. The market rises, they revise them higher. You can see it all the time with stocks and their like index price targets. They're just price followers, but they're lagging with big lag. Our job as traders is pretty much to do the same thing, but more in real time and profit from the actual moves. But you will never get an analyst to admit they're just trend followers. You'll never get an analyst to admit that. They're like, no, but our spreadsheets, our deep fundamental analysis. The thing is, no one knows nothing. No one knows anything. The market can do anything at any given time. You can have all these fancy price targets. They don't matter really. They don't matter anything. You gotta look at action in real time. Put your opinions aside and just trade the price action. Like, look, just because the stock is going up doesn't mean it had a good setup, or look, there's a lot of stocks that go up without showing good setups. Like NIO had a setup here. Like I would have preferred a few more days of sideways. Okay, this is when it broke out. I even see this red line. I've even marked this breakout. But like where's the breakout here? I don't see any good breakout here. Like I just don't see it. Yeah, what the real Gary says. Keep beliefs simple. No conspiracy theories. Beliefs that limit your potential. Yeah, exactly. The fewer things you worry about, the better your trading is gonna be. There's always gonna be, things affecting your trading and stuff like that. There's always gonna be some politician or some, the Fed or Trump or China or Russia or this or that or market makers or Elon or, there's always gonna be something. Stick to your methods, stick to your setups. That's all you need to be focus on price action. That's all you need to be worried about. None of the other stuff is gonna make you money. YTTD looks really good. Made a big move. It's been surfing the 20-day the whole time for months and months, and now it's going sideways and getting tighter and tighter. FSLR, yeah, I would have preferred more sideways, but that's when the breakout happened. Right now there's nothing here. It's in limbo. It had a tight day of the rising 10-day, and then it had a range break candle, and now it's kinda trying to grind higher. But me too, I would have preferred more sideways. How do you overcome being able to buy stocks like Shopify, Tesla, Square when they already... Well, you look at thousands of leaders from the past, and you will see that Many times the extended stocks become more extended. That's how you build confidence in your setups. You need to put in the study. Like, you're not gonna learn trading, like become profitable traders by just watching, you know, what I do on the stream. You need to spend your weekends, you need to spend your evenings, you need to spend your spare time by, you know, taking the lessons that you get from me, and you know, like the setups, and then you look at thousands of past leaders over the past decades. How did they move? You will see, wait, it's the exact same setups over and over again. Building my database and finish the letter B, I do this 8 to 12 hours a day. You're gonna make tens of millions over the next 5 to 10 years, if not more. I guarantee you. That's what needs to be done. You need to do those. You need to build that database. You need to, and mainly you need to build that database in your head. It's good to have it, you know, in some place like in a folder or Evernote or OneNote or something where you can, you know, go back and look at those setups. Just, you know, every couple of weeks or so, you know, just refresh your brain. But mainly, you know, you want those setups ingrained in your brain. No one else is gonna do for you. You need to do it yourself. So, you know, if you spend 8 to 12 hours a day building the chart database, that's incredible. Jesus, that's fucking incredible. Do you sleep? When do you sleep? How can you tell a momentum leader? You scan for the top 1 or 2%, you know, the top biggest gainers. Like I made a lot of videos about scanning and stuff like that. Go review my short swing trading school on YouTube. It's all there. A momentum leader is a stock that's you know, among the 1 or 2% top gainers over a certain period of time. It could be 1 month or 3 months or 6 months or 12 months or whatever. Yeah, LITB looks pretty decent. It looks like a random pump. I don't think there's, you know, it's probably not gonna go unless it gets a PR or something. EDUC? Yeah, maybe. It's a very thin stock, but good, maybe. Plug. There's no good setup here. Needs to go sideways. BLDP and what's the other one? Fuel cell. Yeah, the whole sector is kind of strong. But they need to go sideways, the whole fuel cell sector. XP, yeah, 2 days ago was a potential setup. Now it's just nowhere. There are better ones than this out there. Yeah, shorts, you know, you have to, because, you know, longs, they can go up hundreds and hundreds of %, and you really don't know when they're gonna stop. So you need to have some kind of trailing stop. But shorts, you know, like if you short something, is it likely to go down more than, say, 40, 50, 60%? Like, it's very unlikely to go down more than 40, 50, 60% in a reasonable amount of time. Let's just say a few weeks. So you gotta, you know, every time it goes down 5, 10%, you gotta take a piece off. Yeah, I shorted some overstock, but, you know, maybe I'll take just a decent loss on it like I did on Friday. It's kind of getting below the 20-day. Like now the 20 and 10 are kind of maybe starting to act less like resistance instead of support, combined with the lower highs on the 60-minute chart. Like, I think this thing could go down reasonably 50% over the next few weeks or few months. It's easy to borrow. Like, you know, I want to be in this thing in case it go, or maybe not 50%, but, you know, 30, 40%, very reasonable over the next few weeks. Yeah, GBTC is setting up. Yep. Yeah, it's flagging nicely. It's been surfing the 10, 20 days, and now the 20-day has almost caught up. It has a range share, kind of. Like, I barely sold any shares since I bought it here in the, was it 12s? High 11s. I had 60,000 shares. I've only sold 2,500. I think this thing could double, triple from here. Like, if crypto really gets hot again, you know, it could go crazy. I'm looking to add. If I can double my position, that would be awesome. NCLH cruise line. I think this one looks pretty good for a potential long. I just don't have much buying power. I'm kind of heavily long, but I may do 1 or 2 of these cruiser airlines. No crazy size or anything, but ISRG, I actually saw this one during the weekend. This thing looks insane. It's a very low ADR. Don't trade it, but yeah, it's a very clean looking flag. But this is, you know, I mean, making a 10% move. It's an effort for this thing. If I like Stamp, yeah, Stamp looks great. Just too thin for me to trade. Yeah, it only trades a couple of 100,000 shares on average. Yeah, it's too thin for me. I can't trade it, but it looks good. It's a 4.5 star setup, 5-star setup even. SC starting to set up. Yeah, the 10-day needs to catch up. Maybe later this week. AM, it's a nat gas name. Yeah, it's setting up. What are RRC? No, this one is not. SWN, COG. Okay, AM. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of setting up. Tupperware. Yeah, it is setting up. Yep, it is. Now the 20-day has caught up. I think it may be finally ready to go. It's put in a really tight day on Friday. This thing is a really good setup. Very thin, but very good setup. Yeti. Yeti is too thin for me, and there's no setup here either. I almost have to show this. This is amazing. Look at this guy just followed me on Twitter. Chatroom moderator specializing in astrology signals. Oh boy. Yeah. So when the moon crosses the sun, that's a buy. Exactly, all the stars have to align. The stupidity people, you know, invent. Like, instead of studying like how the stocks work, like how stocks move, people invent these like weird theories and indicators like they have no basis in reality. It's kind of amazing how the human mind works. Why high volume is significant? Because if you study thousands of stocks over the past 50 plus years, you will realize oftentimes it's a high volume move that starts big moves. Cars, if the setup looks good, it looks good. You know, momentum is all that you really need to focus on. Like, it helps if it also has earnings and revenue, but I don't think it's like a momentum leader. But I don't know, maybe it could work. I would like to see more tightness on it though. Also bought the AMD. It bounced perfectly off the 20-day moving average, and then on the 60-minute chart it took out this range. So that's where I bought it, and I'm using this like low 81s as my stop for it, not the lows of the day. That would be crazy. What about UAVS? What are we looking at here? Is there a setup here? 50 bounce? Yeah, but just because it bounces off the 50-day doesn't make it a buy. You want to have a range. Like, you want this thing to like surf on the moving average. Like, you know, a bounce off a major moving average could be a buy, but that's not really the type of setup I'm trying to teach you. Like, you can create a setup around anything, but to make tens of millions, you only need to focus on one setup and master that one setup. My job is to make you guys focus, not to jump from method to method, doing this, doing that. How do you know what setup? That's why you need to, like I say it on every stream, you need to spend a few thousand hours studying stocks, studying past moves, and see how they move. You can probably find 2, 3, 4 setups very easily, and then you only need to master one of them to make tens of millions. What's the name of the setup? The name of the setup, if you put in the work, you'll make tens of millions. That's the name of the setup. Run, I think Run looks pretty decent. Not a 5-star setup, maybe a 4-star, 3.5 maybe. But I think it looks pretty decent. I would prefer one more day of sideways or 2 more days of sideways, but it looks decent. Mobile, what's the setup here? Do you buy it on this day here? In case, in that case, you should start selling by Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. You sell a third or half on Monday or Tuesday on your day 3, 4, or 5, and then you just trail with the 10-day moving average. Then you won't need any price targets, because then you will have a systematic way of capitalizing on moves. You don't need price targets. I look for mainly like these really overextended stocks, okay? So what I look for are true parabolics or some kind of backside. For example, Overstock, like this thing has been straight up 5,000% without any major pullbacks. And what I was looking for was some kind of weakness. So that's what we got. We got a series of lower highs. You can see it on the 60-minute chart too. We got this thing built lower highs for 4 days, and then it, like I talked about this 10 and 20 EMA on the 60-minute chart. Like when these things go from acting as support to acting as resistance, and when they start sloping down, that marks a momentum shift. So I shorted this thing here, 117, high 117s, when it broke below this little range here, after it built lower highs, because it started showing some weakness. And now, in hindsight, I guess I should have added to it somewhere here, but I didn't. But that's fine. Any books? No. There are no good short selling books. Pfizer, I can even before I pull up the chart, I can tell you it's not, because of this simple reason. Look at this number, 1.6. What the fuck? Come on. 1.6 in ADR. You'll never make any money trading these kinds of stocks. So no, I don't think Pfizer is a good play here or there or anywhere. Yeah, SHLL, you know, and this is why you use the 10-day moving average as your trailing stop, because this thing could go to 40, 50 before the move is over. You don't know that. That's why you always trail. If you want to make big money, you gotta be in the big winners, and the only way to be in big winners is to have some kind of trailing stop. Just like that. That's why you gotta be in the markets. Like, you can't go away because, you know, things are not following through, because you never know when, you know, things start working again. You gotta be there. You know, you gotta be there. The market doesn't trade on your schedule or on your feelings. You know, you gotta be there when the market is ready, not when you are ready. Thought on apps? If you buy it here, you will never make any money in your life. That's the name of this setup. Oh, you mean on the short side? I don't think there's a setup on the short side either. It's not. It's just grinding higher. There's like no. You know, if you're looking for parabolic shorts, you need something that one is getting really, really stretched, or two is starting to show backside. Like for example, Overstock. This is like a stock that's up what 4,000% this year, and now it's starting to show signs of potential backside. Like it's starting to violate the 10 and 20 day 10 and 20 EMAs, but the jury is still out on this one. Like you could very easily reclaim and go to 150 or something, but you know, I'm just kind of betting on it that it's gonna fade, but that's what stops are for. But apps is not really you know, there's, you know, it's just, you know, grinding higher. There's no short setup here. What return am I looking for per week? You can't look at it that way. You take what the market gives you. But generally, you know, when I take a trade, on the short side, I usually want at least 1 to 5, preferably 1 to 10 risk reward ratio. And on the long side, I want to see at least 10 times potential on my risk. Preferably 20, 30. But at least 10 times. I don't bother with, you know, 1 to 5 or 1 to 3. That's just a waste of time. Like something like Tesla, when I bought it initially, low 1500s, I think I put my stop in the mid, I think I had like a $50 stop on it initially. And now it's up $500. So it's up 10 times my risk. Those are the trades that gonna make you big money. The ones where you make 10, 20, 50 times your initial risk. That's how you can have a 25% win rate and still make many millions. Don't fall into that trap. Oh, I need a 70, 80% win rate. Oh, I need at least 50% win rate. It's all bullshit. If you need a 70% win rate to make money, like your edge is shit. You need a big edge. Like unless you're a day trader. They're a little bit different mechanics in day trading. You just can't get the same risk reward. Mara. Yeah, this is the one I sold. And I thought I sold the lows. I think I sold it somewhere here, 430s. Or I don't remember when it went. And then it went briefly higher and now it's just straight down. That's why you don't mess around with something that makes a shelf like 3 times market cap or 2 times market cap or whatever it was. You don't mess around with that. That's some serious selling. But Riot is setting up though. Riot is setting up a nice flag. I will add to this thing if it starts breaking out next week. Sohu, should it show up in your scans? Yes, it should. Sohu is a really beautiful setup. And it's like this thing is what 200, almost 200% in the past 3-4 months. This thing, and it's kind of liquid too, or not very liquid, but it trades like more than 10 million in dollar volume generally. So yeah, I think it should be in your scans. This thing should be in your scans. What's the ADR? 10.2. Yeah, it should be. Like, this is a really beautiful setup. It is definitely a momentum leader. It should be in your scans. But you can make money risking only 1%? What the hell are you talking about? Of course you can make money risking only... 1% is a lot of risk. If you have 10 losing trades in a row, you're gonna lose 10% of your account. If you have like 10 winning trades in a row, where you make, 10, 20 times your initial risk, you're gonna double your account. 1% risk is a lot of risk. Yeah, I'm not talking about the position size. I'm talking about the risk on the trade. Like, your position sizes, they should be like, they're probably gonna be around 10 to 20% of your account. But I'm talking about the risk on the trade, not the position size. Of course, you should never put 1% of your account in a stock. That's just a waste of time. TA? Yeah, well, it's working, but was it a good setup? Actually, it was a good setup. You know what? Yeah, it was a good setup. It had 1 month momentum. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. If you caught it at the opening range highs, you did well, that was a good setup. Make my trip. What do you see here? Does it resemble anything like a setup I'm trying to teach you guys? You should go and review my swing trading school videos on YouTube. You shouldn't be doing any trades until you review those videos. D-Dog. Yeah, this is a tough one. It also had a setup here, but these kinds of setups are a little bit tough when they are, like, this thing was below the 10, 20 and the 50-day moving average. Yeah, so it's a bit tough one. I don't think it's a good setup here. Like, there's so many other ones. Like, there's stuff like, obviously this one reports tomorrow, but stuff like Coupa. Well, this is long gone, but you have stuff like, Pinterest and Roku and Shopify and TTD. Focus on the best ones. Easier setups. KR. It's not a momentum leader. Also, what's the ADR? What does it say here? It's 1.7%. This thing shouldn't even be in your scans. This thing should not be in your scans. What I learned from Stockby, focus on the top momentum stocks. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway from Pradeep. Focus on the top momentum stocks. I mean, there's a lot of things I learned from him, and also like these things like you want to see tightness before a breakout or some kind of range break. And linearity also, like a linear stock, something like Shopify that keeps finding support on these major moving averages. Trades very smoothly versus something like, I don't know, KR that doesn't trade smoothly. It took me a long time to see the difference between those two types of charts. But it's gonna be taken care of. You just focus on the top momentum stocks. Yeah, the strongest stocks, they keep going up, at least for some time. They're not gonna obviously go up forever, but for some time, you need to focus on good setups. Yeah, HEQ, I'm stalking it. It's a silver ETF. Like, it looks good. Like, you know what? I should probably buy some here. I should. I just don't have the buying power. It looks good. It looks good. HEQ, it looks good, man. I should be buying it. It's not super liquid, but man, oh man, it's a triple ETF of silver, obviously, and silver looks good. Look how smooth this thing is. This is silver. It trades like a small cap stock. Trades like a momentum stock. Look at this thing. It's so surfing the 20-day. Surfing the 10 and 20-day moving averages. Okay, pulled back, finding support on a rising 20-day, it undercut the 20-day, reclaimed, and now it's, this is super strong, incredibly strong. You don't know how to organize it, you just organize it by ticker. I mean, it doesn't really matter how you organize it. This is the way I've done it. Like, for example, we go to stocks. Here are all, like, there's, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them really, because every note there's a lot of, different tickers. And I also removed a lot of, like, I used to have much more, but I removed the mostly liquid one. But let's look at, for example, breakouts, 2013, 2018, 2013 breakouts. So I have different types. Like, I have sorted by year. Sometimes I have them sorted by theme. Like, it's not super organized. Or like gappers, earnings gappers. These I have organized by ticker and not by year. And then there are other type of gappers, like biotech and different types of news. And here these are all like just stocks that make big moves. And I have these these different setups. You can immediately see, look at this Coke chart, you see, wow, this is a pretty good setup. Not the fastest setup since it surfed the 50-day, but look at what it did. It made a big move. INTL, you see this is a setup that kept going and going. It's not rocket science. You'll figure out what works for you. No, I don't enter any data into Excel. I try to, but I just always get bored. And LTHM, I don't see a setup here. It's not a momentum leader. It's just a random stock that happens to be above the 10 and 20-day. I know it's a battery EV pump, but it needs to be a momentum leader. Yeah, something I noticed yesterday and today also, especially like yesterday, like the markets were going up and UVXY was going up, or VXX was going up at the same time. So it shows them, the market is getting a little bit nervous about this rise. Usually, it's not great to see the markets and the VXX rise at the same time. Not that it really means anything. All that matters is the price action in the markets. Like, if they're going higher, they're going higher. This one is also really good. Hedgemanship. How to make money in bear markets, bull markets, and chicken markets while confounding professional money managers and attracting a better class of women. This has to be my favorite. I mean, what the fuck? Oh my god, I mean, I don't know. $12? Wow, that's a deal. That's cheap. Oh my god. Hubs is a Shopee name. Well, actually, it's a slower type of a name. But yeah, it's a pretty, it's not a good setup here. It's just one of those stocks that it's too choppy. Like, this whole run, like, this thing is just tripled and there was not a single good setup on it. Like, there was a potential setup here, like on this day here, but it would have stopped you out the next day. I mean, it's just some stocks are just too hard. Some stocks are just not meant to be traded. Same thing with NOW. This is also like, well, now it has some follow through from the breakout here, but it's also like, I've been watching this stock for years. It pretty much never has a good setup. Some stocks are like that. And then you have stocks like Tesla, AMD, Nvidia. They just give you setups over and over again. The shorter the time frame, the higher the fail rate is gonna be though. But sometimes you can get in really, really early. Many times the 60-minute opening range is just too wide. The stock is already way gone. Like VBIV, for example. If you waited for the 60-minute opening range breakout, you bought it at $5. I did add there personally, but it's just way too high. There's no reason to wait that far, that long when you can get it like on the 1 or the 5-minute opening range highs. Like like a couple of minutes after the open, it was already obvious this was going to be a very high volume day. Like this thing traded how much? 3.5 million shares in the first 2 minutes, and the average daily volume on this thing is like what, 10 million shares? So in just the first 2 minutes, it traded a third of the average daily volume. So you kind of saw it pretty early. It was gonna get significant. AMD faked you out at 84. What do you mean it faked you out? How could it fake you out at 84? I mean, how? Like, I don't get it. Oh, you bought at 84. Well, that wasn't really a good entry. Like the entry was yesterday. But like I see what you see. Like, I mean, okay. I mean, there was like an yes and no. Like I think the better entry was yesterday, but there was an maybe entry here today. I kind of anticipated the breakout yesterday. Do I have a specific diet? Well, I'm doing periodic fasting, so I don't eat breakfast. I'm trying to do like 16-8, where I eat for 8 hours, don't eat for 16, but it's usually more like 14-10. And the first meal of the day is a highly purified protein shake with double rich chocolate taste. And then I eat 7.5 avocado toasts. And I also put guacamole on my avocado toast. I wash it down with some filtered green tea. Then I brush my teeth for 4 minutes and 45 seconds with the highest quality toothpaste. And that's also part of my diet. I swallow the toothpaste. I heard it's very nutritious. That's just my breakfast routine or like lunch routine. Do you want me to talk about the rest of my meals too? Exactly, it's low carb toothpaste. No carb toothpaste. Guacamole and avocado are not the same things. Guacamole, it's like you put some, you kind of smash it, right? And then you put like some spices in it also, right? Like avocado toast, then you just smash the avocado. But if you put guacamole on it, it gets better. Do you wipe front to back or back to front? It's a secret. I don't wipe. Yeah, guys, if you're gonna swing trade, you need to aim at least 1 to 10 risk reward. If you're aiming to 1 to 3, 1 to 5, like a lot of day traders are, it's just not gonna cut it if you're swing trading. You need small losers and big winners. Small losers, big winners. QDEL is another flag I'm watching that may result to the downside. Right now it's still building higher lows, but it could result to the downside. How I use the daily chart versus the 60 chart. The 60 minute I usually use to get the higher resolution. And also on big momentum names, I use like the 10 and 20 EMAs, but I usually use them for like shorting. Like I want to see them starting to act as a resistance versus being support. How I approach a bear market? Yeah, you can trade bear flags. I don't really trade that much during a bear market. There will be fewer trades and shorter trades. Bear markets are tough, there are fewer things that make big moves. Yeah, like triple ETFs and stuff like that. But it's still, the opportunity set is much slimmer. Switch to day trading? No thanks. I'd rather take time off. Exactly. You only need one bull market to change your financials. You only need one bull market to get rich. There's no need to sit there and squeeze water out of a stone during a bear market. Yeah, T-Doc stopped me out too. I had a perfect entry. I had a lot of size. I had like 15,000 shares in like 191, 192 area or something down here, and then it stopped me out, and now it's up over 20% since. I love it. Trading is easy. Everyone who try will make it in trading. Yeah, I mean, look, these kinds of when stocks that go absolute, like when they double, triple in a very short amount of time. Yeah, 10-day may not be a reasonable, like you can like use maybe lows of this day here as your stop or something like that. Yeah, the 10-day may be a little bit, I don't know where you bought it or if you bought it. But after a certain point, you gotta be moving your stop a bit faster than the 10-day moving average, especially like this one. Like it's a triple in the past 2-3 weeks. Like let's look at setups, and like I can see, these low ADR stocks can be tricky traders, but there was a potential setup here. But these kinds of stocks, they're more like grinders. They just keep grinding. They don't have these clean breakouts so many times. Sometimes they do. But look at how nicely it's been surfing the 10 and 20 day. Very linear. This is like what a institutional stock look like. Yeah, 2 trillion. Amazing.